Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, May 24th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. My apologies for getting up and running here late. The market is about to open, but that's okay because we are opening inside the previous day's range. And we know what that tells us. That tells us that the market is likely to get some chop and some grind this morning and just bounce up and down. Sorry, my data is still loading right now. That's why there's a bit of a delay. So what are we basically looking for today? Well, we closed yesterday back inside the balance area. Up here, the balance area low at 39.52. And that's a pretty pivotal area right inside of there, because if we're above it, we have a higher probability of heading up to the opposite end of balance. But if we're below it, it is another look into balance that failed, which could lead to further downside continuation. So the fact that we spent this time up there yesterday was bullish, but the fact that we're opening back down below that balance area is a little bit bearish here this morning. So like I said, I'm expecting chop. We opened inside the previous day's range. I'm expecting the market to grind up and down. So the first question I'm asking myself is, do we break below yesterday's low? If so, I'm looking for further downside continuation. And do we head back up into the balance area? That is, get back up above 52 and find some support, in which case I will be looking to go long. In between those two levels, in between 52 and 07, is probably going to just be a chop zone for grind here. Look at that, right inside the overnight range. So we got some resistance directly above us around 42, 43-ish. Okay, so we got resistance right away. First potential resistance above. That's a little bit bearish. So now we're looking for support. Looks like we got some just below us around 23. Can that support hold? If not, we're looking at yesterday's low. Good morning, FRM, Scooball, Cyrus, Joe, MW, Levi, RK Leon, T-Bay, Caffeine, Giles, Ron, Rev, Bossman, and Greg, all in the house. Welcome, welcome. Greg says, today's a good day to make money and contain risk. I like it. And the one is much easier when you do the other. Daniel, Tyler Durden, welcome. Ronald is here. Daniel says we're going to start with a gap down today. I'm thinking a gap and go. Didn't quite get the gap down. It is interesting, though, that the opening price for today was just like a few points off from the opening price of yesterday. So if we break yesterday's low, there's lots of support right in here for the market, just below yesterday's low. So we could very easily just kind of dip below and then pull back up. But if we push below yesterday's low and come back up and we find resistance there, that would be extremely bearish, as it was an attempt to get back into balance that failed. And so we would look for a push lower. And then we think about the fact that we left that poor low behind 2 days ago, or on Friday. And that increases the odds the market will head down and repair that poor low. So we got support in here, but if that support breaks, head into the poor low. And pretty much the same thing to the upside if we get back inside that balance area. I would say in particular above that little node we created yesterday. If we can push up here, come back, find some support, we can head to the opposite end of balance. But until the market decides, we will be subjected to chop. Okay, so now does this support become resistance as the market tries to push back up into it? If so, we're heading down to yesterday's low, looking for support down there. Good morning, John Lash. Ahoy, Bruno. Lamus is here. Scooball says, I assume chop market today. Scooball's looking for some chop. Arthur, good morning to you. Jack is here. Good to see you. Nor Auto Trader in the house. Courtman. JG with the GM. Bob Smith is here. TV, good to see you. Overlord, hello. Nitin, what's the significance of 37 or 3907? That's yesterday's low. So a lot of times what will happen is the market will come down and it'll test either the previous day's high or low. And what you don't want is you don't want support exactly at yesterday's low. That would be weak. But if it just goes and pokes a few ticks below and then comes up, that can be a good low. But like I said, if we push below yesterday's low, come back up and find resistance, that would be bearish. The Shaw is here. Welcome. Novice Trader says H low from yesterday was weak, I think. Well, it's repaired now. Chirp Tone, good morning and welcome. Happy to have you. And Dora is here. Blue shirt, good morning to you. Jeremy Jones, NQ heading below yesterday's low. Yep, NQ more bearish than the ES here. Already below yesterday's low and now testing that overnight low. So I would say if like 11,724 breaks, look for further downside continuation to repair that poor low in the NQ. They also never got back up into their balance area. So that was already a bit weaker than the ES. So I'd say, yeah, a little bearish over here on the NQ. Looking for resistance at the halfback, 11,800. David V, good morning to you. Crypto Mojo, welcome. Being Prosperous, good morning. Anita is here, good to see you. Pavel, good morning. Jeff and Anis, welcome. Novice Trader, if you repair a weak reference in the overnight, is it considered repaired? Great question. Yeah, if you open below a weak reference, it's considered repaired. But if you dip below it, it's not. So like, let's say hypothetically, we had a weak reference here and a weak reference here. When we opened below this weak reference, that one was repaired, but this one would still have needed the regular trading hours to come down and dip below. We got 160 people hanging out this morning, looking to make some money trading the ES today. I'm so happy to have you. If you don't mind pushing that like button, quick little thumbs up sure would help out the channel. May even sway the money gods in your direction today. I don't know. I can't make any promises. I'm just saying it's possible. Overlord NQ suffers from the latest about Snap. Was there some news about Snap? I wouldn't think Snap's that big of a effect on the Q. Okay. Push all of Charles's buttons. Got it. Yes, please. All right, guys. So the survey is in the chat. Which do you think will happen first? Will we push our way back up into balance, getting above 52, or will we crash lower, heading down to repair that poor low? Which direction do you think the market will go? Let us know in the survey. Jeremy, the NQ level you mentioned broke. That's not good. Yeah, you're right. That's the last little bit of support right there. So that is bearish on the NQ. Failure to get back in balance. You pushed below yesterday's low, came back up, found some resistance there. So I would call that bearish. Obviously, you got some support around 11,650 and then down around 11,570. But the highest probability is that they want to go repair that poor low. On ZQ, all right, any last voters? Going to make a vote. 56 people have made their opinions heard. Did you? Did you participate in the survey? Where do you think the market's going to go? Up or down? Sideways is not an option. All right, closing out the poll. And the results are in. 65% of you think the market's going lower, and 34% think we're going up. So if you wanted to fade the chat, you'd be long the market. Buyers are really struggling to try to hold up this 39.18 level. So if that breaks, that'll likely get us to yesterday's low, as there'll be some stops in here and some longs that get squeezed if that level breaks. So now once again, I'm watching this was support earlier in the morning, and it's now becoming resistance. So that is bearish. All right, I'm officially bearish on the market as long as we stay below the opening price, below basically the halfback just above us here. Like I said, if this little node breaks, we're going to get a push lower. And I think these are weak buyers. Chirp, how often is the chat right? Any stats on that? Yeah, I should start keeping stats. I should actually, it's a good idea. I should start asking, like at the very beginning every morning, I should start asking up, down, or sideways and tracking it each day and seeing how often the market or the chat is right. I would say with the, the one we do, we ask the same question every night at the end of the day. Where do you think the market's going to close within the last half an hour? And I would say I haven't tracked the actual stats, but certainly the chat is wrong most of the time. Usually whatever gets the least number of votes is what happens. All right, so here we go. We're going to start squeezing some of those buyers. Should get a few little pops lower. Nilesh, what can we expect the broader balance range in SPX? The broader balance range. Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is like a giant channel to the downside. Like that right there. That's the balance the market is doing. It's balancing lower. I can't tell if the SPX has a, I guess it doesn't have a poor low. They made a good low. So yeah, you could look for support around 38.80. As a potential area for the market to, you know, find support and head back up. OM, good afternoon. Greetings from Barcelona. Welcome. All right, well, we haven't had any kind of squeeze yet on these buyers. So far, we're just making good taper on the low. So if we didn't get it getting below that node, it'll probably be below yesterday's low. That's where we get a little long liquidation. Okay, so that B period low is considered weak because it's exactly at yesterday's low. So it is in need of repair. Nunes, it would make sense to employ a regular person, give him a paper account, make him trade, and secretly take the opposite positions. No employment required, my friend. That's called dark pools. That's how BlackRock makes their money. But instead of employing people, they just buy your order flow. They know what trade you're taking a fraction of a second before you take it. Then they go against you and they make money. All right, breaking yesterday's low is a little bit bearish. We have lots of support right below us here. But if we get a little push lower, down to like 97 and then come back up and get resistance at yesterday's low, that would be very bearish for further downside continuation. Welcome to the new sub. Happy to have you. It's a great reminder, if you're hanging out today and you have not pushed that like button yet, please do consider smashing that like. Really helps out the channel. If you're new, you could also consider subscribing and clicking on that notification bell just to keep up to date when I'm dropping new content. All right, so somewhere around this 96 area, we're looking for a bounce. Well, actually, we're getting it as we speak, to head back up and test the low from yesterday and see if there is resistance at yesterday's low. All right, testing yesterday's low once again. Do the sellers pile on for a second time? New sellers. Skewball, people buy the 3,900 level. I mean, yeah, it's a round number and there's some support in there. But the question is, will there be more buyers than there are new sellers piling on? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think there is. That's twice now we've tested yesterday's low. Mudra, Charles went bearish really early today. Looks like a great call. Can you explain your thinking there? Yeah, I mean, I explained it in real time as it was happening. Yeah, my thought was that, we had two choices. We were either going to try to get back up into balance or we were going to head down to test yesterday's low, right? We tried to push up one single time, got nothing. Instantly tapered off, lost all the buyers up there, came down, and then all the buyers piled on at this exact level. It just kept churning and churning and churning and churning. And the more time I spent watching it grind like that, the more confident I was. If that low breaks, they're going to go lower. So it came up, and at the time, the halfback was up here. It was like just right below the opening price. So it came up, it tapped the halfback, and then I clicked over and looked at the ticks. The ticks got slapped down, and I went, that's resistance. And I got bearish. So essentially their failure to get higher convinced me that the buyers that were piling in were going to get squeezed. And oh look, they got squeezed. All right, well, I'm not necessarily predicting like a massive liquidation break that takes us straight down by any means. But I would say we are increasing the odds here that we're going to head down and repair that poor low. Or at least head down and test some support along the way. So the first major support is around 74, then 67, then 32. So I could see like some stairs down today. Like a push lower, bounces up, push lower, bounces up, push lower, bounces up, finally heads down. Repairs that poor low. But we'll take it one step at a time. Anita, we leaving poor structure behind? Poor structure? No, not really. If you're looking at the volume profile and you're noticing that we just have like little nodes of volume and then the market pushes lower, node of volume pushes lower, that's just a sign of a trend. That's a sign of momentum to the downside. Daniel, do you consider the pink period when trending support or resistance or moving your stops? Yeah, so the areas where there's larger nodes of volume, that's what we look for as support or resistance. So if you're like short the market and you're looking for somewhere to potentially take profits, you would use like a node for support. Boom, take profits there. And then you're looking for resistance to get back into the trade again. You would sell when it comes back up to there, and you know, so on and so forth. People like to do business where they've done business before. So if you know what levels most of the volume is traded, it's a good spot to assume volume will trade again. Speaking of which, we're now pushing down into that support. So looking for a bounce here. Somewhere between like 80 and 70. And then, of course, we'll be testing the resistance above. Rugsy definitely looking like a trending lower day. I would agree. It's got all the makings. Oh, exited too early? Well, the nice thing is if we do trend lower today, there'll be lots of chance to get back in. All right, there's the support. So we're looking for the market to push higher and get some resistance here. Selling the rip to buy back on the dip. Potential resistance at 95 and then up once again at yesterday's low. Cyrus, Charles, could you give a quick reminder of the story of why we go back to a poor low? I get that it forms because we ran out of people who want to trade there, but why go back? Yeah, so that's the thing. The poor low is a sign that we didn't run out of people that wanted to trade there. A poor low is a sign that weak hands traders forced a reversal there, right? So, the idea is, like, let's look at the overnight low right here. That's a poor low. The idea is there's probably people who wanted to do business here or here or here, but they never got a chance because the buyers, they put their order right in at that X period low. And so when the B period came down, the buyers instantly pushed it back up before allowing that two-way auction to finish. So there was still business that wanted to be had below there, and it never got a chance. So that's why the market's always looking for where the liquidity is. If there's liquidity waiting there, it'll come back and get that liquidity. That's why whenever we observe a poor low, we assume the market's going to push away, right? Because we assume that there are a lot of buyers trying to buy that level, enough to even stop the momentum to the downside. But we know they're weak hands buyers because they're buying at an exact reference. And so we know at some point they're going to take profits, and then the market will come back for that liquidity just below. Thomas, what software am I using for the TPO charts? It's called Window Trader. Window spelled without a W at the end. All right, so we got good taper on the low. Looks like we're heading up to test this resistance above. Looking for sellers around 38.95. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have here today? Well, to me, this is bearish to see. The fact that we failed to stay up in the balance area once we pushed up in there yesterday feels like a look in and fail, which should cause some momentum to the downside. We also now have value lower today, which is a sign of momentum to the downside. Leaving behind these single prints in the C period here, these B period single prints, increases the odds that the market will want to push back up and backfill them. But then we'll be looking for resistance right there at the base of those single prints, which is also yesterday's low and the half back. So a lot of resistance waiting right there. And of course, if they can't backfill those single prints, that is a when what should happens doesn't, which is bearish for further downside continuation. And if they get the C period low below the B period low, which it looks like they're heading down there to do right now, the market will then be one time framing lower. So that will be another bearish signal for momentum to the downside. So all in all, things look really bearish to me. And the only thing that will change my mind is if we can get back up into yesterday's range. If we push up here and we don't find resistance and we're able to get back up in yesterday's range, then I'd start to get a little more bullish or a little more neutral on the market. But until then, this feels bearish to me. With that, I bid you all farewell, au revoir. I will be gone for the rest of the week. And there's no trading on Monday because the markets are closed. So the next time I will see you all is on Tuesday. Please don't be sad without me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you very much. And have a great rest of your week. If you're in the brigade, let's ride.